What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another Jape's Clash episode. Today we are doing another tier list. Today we are trying to tackle hero equipment. It has been out for the last couple months or so. I've had enough time to play test most of these things, and now it is time for me to try and attempt to rank these. You know how tier lists work. S tier is the best. D tier is going to be the worst. I'm going to be ranking these on basically the perspective of what I know from them the last couple months, but also taking into effect basically when I would recommend upgrading them. So if it's S tier, obviously I would recommend, hey, upgrade this right away. D tier, you can wait quite a while before wanting to upgrade these things. Of course, this is completely opinion based, and also well, it's kind of based on whatever attack strategy you like using. I am currently using kind of a Sui attack strategy, so it might be kind of based on that. But again, in the comment section, make sure to tell me why I am wrong. But let's just hop right into this. And we're starting out here with the Barbarian Puppet. Of course, the Barbarian Puppet I have over here on my phone, I'm looking. It boosts your health recovery and also your hit points, and also spawns 40 barbarians when you use your king's ability. It is fine, right? The health recovery isn't bad, but based on the other basically barbarian equipment pieces, it's not that great. So I am going to have to place the Barbarian Puppet around C tier. Maybe that's harsh. I might move some things around. I'm going to say top of C tier at the moment. And the only reason I feel like it is even there, because, well, it's one of the equipment pieces we started with to begin with, right? So it was highly leveled. So I think you could also argue that it could be around B tier, just because most people probably had it close to max level. But it is going to start getting basically not as usable towards the back end. Now we are going to the Earthquake Boots, where the Earthquake Boots, it increases your DPS and also hit points increase. But also, more importantly, its active ability is it will basically spawn an Earthquake spell around your king. It is very, very useful for Sui type attack strategies where you can just open up the core. So I actually really like the Earthquake Boots. So I think it's either going to be at A or B tier. The nice thing about the Earthquake Boots are, in order to get the active ability, you really don't need to upgrade it that much. Like, obviously it helps, but even at level 1, it will open up the walls. So I'm going to say it is B tier for me. But really, we have a lot better king equipment pieces where I don't think I can rank it higher than B tier. Next is going to be the Vampire Sash. The Vampire Sash, of course, whenever the Barbarian King hits something, it will be healing up your Barbarian King. It can be troops, buildings, everything like that. Ridiculously overpowered. It's definitely a top 3 king ability in my opinion. I'm going to have to say, just because I currently don't use it, I think it is A tier, but I know some of you might just say S tier, S tier, S tier. I think it's solely based on where you or how you use your king. If you plan on using your king on the exterior or outside of the base, just walking around, using the Vamp Sash would be an S tier ability. But for me, where I'm sending my king right into the core of the base, I'm going to have to go with these other 2 abilities being S tier in my opinion, at least from the Barbarian King perspective. And those abilities, of course, I am talking about the Rage Vial and then the Giant Gauntlet. The Rage Vial will increase, obviously, your king's speed. So at level 15 for me, it increases my speed of my Barbarian King by 35.1%. And also 150% of damage, and it lasts for 10 seconds. Health recovery is involved in that, and also increases your damage per second. I believe this could either be borderline S tier or A tier. I'm going to go top of A tier for now, just because the Giant Gauntlet, the one epic equipment piece, is going to be my S tier for my king ability right here, and I don't think anyone can really argue with that. Giant Gauntlet, you basically take 50% or reduction in damage. For me right now at level 21, incoming damage reduction is 50%, and you also hit for splash damage, which is absolutely ridiculous. Most bases are basically anti-E-Dragon already, so you may not get incredible value with it for hitting for splash, but compared with or combined with the Rage Vial, absolutely destroys cores of bases. And a little minor effect that I don't think a lot of people talked about is the Giant Gauntlet can one-shot all those annoying skeleton traps when used. So those are my king equipment pieces, and as far as upgrading them, I would kind of go in this order right here. Start with the Giant Gauntlet max out, then Rage, Vamp Sash, Earthquake, and then finally the Barbarian Puppet is last. Next, let's go into the Archer equipment pieces, and the first piece we're looking at is this Archer Puppet. Again, it is the same thing as this Barbarian Puppet in the sense where, well, it spawns a ton of archers. It'll spawn 30 archers for me at level 15. Health recovery is involved and additional DPS is involved. And so this is kind of important if you like queen walking. This health recovery and extra damage is very, very important. So just from that fact alone, I think it has to be up there in B tier. As far as an ability, it's not great, right? Because it just spawns archers, and a lot of times one scatter shot is just going to kill all of them. But from the boosts alone, I think it has to be a little bit higher than the Barbarian Puppet, comparatively, at least from my perspective of how I use my hero equipment. Next is going to be the Healer Puppet. I personally do not have a lot of experience with this, so I may actually be ranking this kind of harshly compared to other equipment pieces, and you guys can tell me that in the comments. Mine is only level 1, so I haven't really even play tested it at all, but it does spawn 2 healers when using it. My only reason why I don't really like it is most of the time, the equipment pieces I want to use with my queen is almost always, spoiler, is going to be that invisibility veil, which is an active ability. So whenever my queen is in danger, is normally in the middle of the base, right? And if I'm popping my active ability right there, I would also be popping the active ability of this Healer Puppet, which your healers would just spawn right in the middle of the base, and normally they just immediately die to those black mines. So for that reason, and for my strategies only, I'm going to have to say it's D tier and going to be one of the last equipment pieces I upgrade. I know I kind of talked about it. Invisibility Veil has to be S tier for me. Basically for the opposite reason. Well, it gives your queen basically a second life, and a bonus on top of that. It's just like the Archer Puppet and the Barbarian Puppet, in the sense where, well, we already had it upgraded prior to the fact, right? Unless you just start an account in the last 2 or 3 months, most of us already had this equipment piece close to max level for our Town Hall level. At level 15, for example, for me, invisibility lasts for 7 seconds, extra damage is increased, and extra hit points are increased. Absolutely insane. Would be the first queen equipment piece I would recommend upgrading. Then again, very harsh. Again, I think it's just solely based on the other archer pieces that we have, or equipment pieces. The giant arrow basically will just shoot a giant arrow through the middle of the base. Really, really cool. Probably the coolest equipment piece we have. But as far as usability purposes and versus our other archer equipment pieces, I do not think I will be upgrading the giant arrow much. Really because those core defenses that we want to get down, it won't even one-shot. Like those scatter shots and those eagle artilleries. So at the end of the day, it is a very skillful equipment piece. But in my opinion, not very useful, at least at this stage of the game. And our final equipment piece is going to have to be this Icy Arrow, which the Icy Arrow is, of course, the second equipment piece that just came out during the Lunar New Year's event. And it slows down all your equipment, or not all of your equipment. It slows down all of the buildings that it hits. At mine, at level 8, I haven't leveled it up much. I'm just short on ores, and that's why we're doing this tier list in the little in part. Just because ores are so rare, we kind of need to decide what we want to upgrade first. For me, it hasn't been the Frozen Arrow, but it does slow down equipment pieces, not equipment pieces, those buildings that it attacks for. And it does increase your damage for your queen, for your passive hero boost. So I think it personally has to be an A tier. But when I'm looking at this right now, I think Archer Puppet and this is close. I think they almost have to be at the same veil, because I feel like there are clear top 3 favorites here based on strategies. I personally use the Archer Puppet over the Icy Arrow, but I can kind of see it at either. So Yeah, I'm gonna go with this so far right here, just solely based on if my icy arrow was higher leveled. I think I probably would switch it out, but the invisibility veil is clearly top for me. Next one, we're gonna go into our Grand Warden abilities. Our Grand Warden, we're starting off hot with the Eternal Tome. Eternal Tome is another one of those abilities that has been in the game since the Grand Warden has been in the game. 9 seconds for me at level 15 for invulnerability. Invulnerability is absolutely mental. That just goes straight to the top of the table. This is my number one equipment piece you should be upgrading right when you get ores. I would stop it at probably 15 because, well, it's just the ore to upgrade costs or value get from it kind of stops after level 15. But the Eternal Tome is absolutely mental. Giving invulnerability for all your troops within its range in a certain amount of time is awesome. There are no passive boosts that go with it. It doesn't need any passive boosts. The active boost carries it alone. Next is going to be this Rage Gem. The Life Gem. Sorry, the Life Gem will increase HP increase and hero boost increase. This was another one that was involved right when the Grand Warden was launched, and not a new equipment piece. Mine is level 15. It also increases DPS and hit points increase. This one is very hard for me. All the Warden equipment pieces, granted, are very hard for me to rank, to be honest, just because the Warden is very balanced, in my opinion. I feel like other than the Eternal Tome, you can pretty much slot in any of these other 3 equipment pieces pretty evenly. So I feel like these ratings are going to be kind of strange, but I feel like most of them, just to kind of save time, are going to be A or B tier. The Warden, I don't think really misses. The Life Gem can be very useful on certain attack strategies. Basically, I am thinking of hybrid attack strategies where your hogs don't have a lot of HP, have the Life Gem with their Eternal Gem. It boosts quite a bit. Next, we're going to be talking about the Healing Tome right here. The Healing Tome, I think, is better than the Life Gem. Maybe that is just because I currently use it. I would rank it. I'm gonna name them all in B just because I said they're all around the same tier. But again, it basically, when using the ability, the Healing Tome ability, for 23 seconds for me at level 15, it will basically create a healing aura. So when used with the Eternal Tome, think of it. Our troops are completely invulnerable. Plus, we're adding the healing effect into them. So after 20 seconds, our troops are going to be pretty much max HP. That is pretty absurd. And finally, I kind of already ranked it, but it is going to be the Rage Gem. It can be very useful for Lalo type attack strategies. It's not as powerful as a Rage Potion, which kind of makes sense, obviously. But it is basically a passive effect that you just pop down your Warden and you have a raged ability. Mine, I have not upgraded that much, so I'm going to throw towards the back end. But again, all of these Warden equipment pieces, I think it's just solely based on whatever attack strategy you are using. I would be fine with you leveling up. Now, finally, we are getting into that Warden equipment pieces, or not Warden, the Royal Champion equipment pieces, and this is where it gets very, very interesting. Of course, these Royal Champion equipment pieces are obviously newer to the game. I'm talking more about this Rage Gem right here. I mean, Haste Vial and the Hog Puppet right here. But these other two have been in the game for a while. So again, you kind of get the boost where you're probably going to use these right off the bat just because, well, they're already highly leveled. But starting us off here is the Royal Gem. Royal Gem, basically just your Royal Champion is almost dead. Boom, we'll heal her all the way back up to max HP. And kind of like the Invisibility Vial, give her a second life. It's not as powerful as the Invisibility Vial, just because she isn't invisible for that time being. But the passive boost or hero boost from that is a hit point increase and a DPS increase. The DPS increase is very, very impactful. So I'm actually going to bump it up here. Yeah, I'm going to have to bump it up here as far as A tier. The next one, probably the funnest, I know it's not a word, the funnest Royal Champion equipment piece has to be the Seeking Shield, because when you pop her active ability here, boom, 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 she will hit 4 different defenses with her shield. Captain America style, pretty sweet, does a lot of damage. It kind of falls off the wayside compared to some of these other abilities, so I'm going to have to bump it down to C tier. Really, really fun, but the only reason I'm putting it down here is solely based on how basically overpowered these other abilities are. Next one is going to be the Haste Vial. It doesn't unlock till you are Town Hall, is it 14? It's either 14 or 15, to be honest. I should know this. Jeez, Jacob, you're a Clash of Clans YouTuber. But it basically turns your Royal Champion into a machine gun. Her fire rate is insane. Just at level 11. Again, the ore crunch is real on my account. But her speed increase is 30%. It lasts for 11 seconds. Attack speed is increased as well. And it does increase that DPS as well, just like the Royal Gem. So I'm going to have to say it is up here in S tier, but at the very bottom probably. And then finally, the Hog Puppet. Who doesn't like a nice little Hog Rider? I sure like Hog Riders. It will spawn 7 Hog Riders at level 3 for me. Haven't upgraded it once again. Don't have enough ores. But it's just really, really fun. The one caveat with it is obviously the Hog Riders are great at distracting for your Royal Champion. But when paired with without like the Eternal Tome, the Hog Riders can die very, very quickly. Still seems very good in my opinion. So I'm going to have to rank it up here at A tier. Now looking at this, we seem very, very top heavy, which is fine. It's kind of like a bell curve towards the top, which is kind of what I would assume the equipment pieces look like. I'd be fine moving pretty much all of these up or down one tier, I would say. Other than, I feel like these S tier, they are clear favorites for each of them. As you can see, I have 1 Royal Champion, 1 King, 1 Archer Queen, and 1 Royal Champion. And then I've tried to pretty much do that for each of these. I think the Archer Queen, looking at this, kind of gets the short end of the stick here with the worst equipment pieces. And maybe that's just for me because the epic equipment piece kind of fell flat for me, at least for my attack strategies that I'm using. I could easily see some of you guys slotting this up to S tier. But overall, I think the King has the best, maybe. The Giant Gauntlet and these 3. He has a lot of options. And the Warden is super, super balanced as well. But if you guys have enjoyed this episode, help me out by liking and subscribing. We are trying to get to 5,000 subscribers to unlock the creator code. I hope you guys have a great day. I'm going to have a great one. See you guys later. Have a great day. Great day. Whoa, I've said that 3 times now. Goodbye.